Yo, welcome to another episode of Cloudy Courtside Chat. Appreciate you guys joining us and tuning in. Man, we got a lot to unpack from this week. We had the playoffs started on the boys' side, by district games, as well as area rounds this Thursday and Friday. Some upsets starting in the first round, more upsets in the second round, and we'll get into how these brackets have shaped up 1 through 6A here in East Texas. And man, it's gonna be a fun one. So buckle up, tune in, enjoy the show, enjoy the ride. Before we get started, please, we have, as you can see, 170 people already subscribed. Go to the YouTube, subscribe. We're just, like we said, it's just a passion project. Really just trying to expose the amazing athletes as well as the coaches and programs here in deep East Texas. So yeah, once again, man, go to the YouTube, Ed Cloudy Courtside Chat, subscribe, go watch a couple videos. We've been doing this for 9 weeks now, 9 episodes. Today will be episode number 9. So it's been fun. Just trying to get some good content out, like we said. Along with the YouTube, we also have other social media handles, especially kids. They're enjoying this. They're eating it up. Starting on the left, we have our Twitter. On our Twitter, we post keeping up with in-game analysis, trying to get videos out. Instagram as well is really going crazy. We started the Instagram a month ago, already at 400 plus followers. Because once again, it's just about the kids, and we shout out every program that is doing amazing things, that are having stellar performances from kids and programs. So we're just trying to put good content out there. You never know, like we said last week, who's watching and who they know that they can pass this information along to. Also in the TikTok, and the TikTok is in the middle right there, at Cloudy Courtside CH. I don't know if I mentioned the IG handle at Cloudy Courtside. So, man, go follow, go like, go retweet, reshare, and definitely go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's jump right into it, man. Let me bring on my co-host, my mentor, my brother, Marlon Cloudy Jr. What's good, my brother? Yo. Let's get it. Let's go. What's up, man? How was your week, dog?
Oh man, week back after a break. The week before a break and the week after a break is always rough getting everybody to, I guess, fall back into the routine of procedure. So they worked on me this week, but it was good. We survived. Saw some good games. And then on Thursday, I had a little special day on Thursday. It was the 8th anniversary. Me and my wife, I guess, eloping.
Happy anniversary, brother.
Yeah, so 8 years we got to celebrate on Thursday by watching some basketball. But we're gonna really celebrate tonight. Did a little bit yesterday, but really gonna celebrate tonight. So. That was my week. Basketball, anniversaries, and I'm not gonna say crazy kids, but I'm gonna just say chaotic kids at the school.
No doubt. For those of you who don't know, when he refers to they, the ones that are giving him these headaches, he's the principal at Center Middle School. So yeah, shout out to Jather. Happy anniversary to you, sister-in-law. Transitioning right on into it, we got another coach's corner shout out, man, and this one is special to us, especially to me. This guy was my head coach in high school for 3 years. He is still the head coach of Center High School, as you can see right there on the graphic. So shout out to Coach Hiram Harrison, eclipsing the milestone of 600 wins.
Yeah, that's huge. You call him your coach, but he also my coach because he's the first head coach that I had when I broke into the business 15 years ago. He went out on a limb and took a chance on me, him and Coach Goodwin. So, always indebted to them for allowing me to get into the coaching ranks. I was his assistant for 4 years and learned a lot, not only about basketball, but also running a program and then the camaraderie of a staff, also building up your staff. He's always been about people and being around people and that aspect of the coaching job outside of the X's and O's. So, shout out to Coach. Yeah. Proud of him, for that major accomplishment. We get to talk about a lot of coaches on here so far getting these milestones, but, like you said, this one is special to us because, he's here in our hometown, getting that 600th win, and just proud of that accomplishment for him.
Yeah, man, and you talked about being his assistant coach and coming up under him. And his coaching tree is it's getting up there, man. I know you got Navasota, Coach Randolph, Coach Randolph in Navasota. Of course, us two previous head coaches. You have Coach Bryant over in Palestine, Westwood. We'll talk about him and his team later. Man, how many more?
Yeah, he was at multiple places before he got to center. So I know he's had assistant coaches at those places that have went on to become head coaches. So I know he's got a lot of coaches under him that have got a lot of wins too. So you call him OG.
OG, baby.
OG for a reason, Coach. They're proud of you, Coach. Thank you for everything that you've done for my career and the example that you set.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for everything, OG. OG threw me to the wolves, man. He had me for 1 year as his assistant. A job came open in Garrison. They had a few connections over there. He said, "Hey, it's time for you to go, young fella." And I never looked back. So definitely indebted to you. Thank you for everything, OG. Congratulations on eclipsing 600 wins. Transitioning into one of my favorite segments that we do here, Cloudy Courtside Chat, is the Cloudy Courtside Crown. And, man, it's so many elite players and some high-level basketball going on around here. And this week was no different. It's always extremely tough. So, actually, we need help, guys. If you don't mind, if you know somebody that put up some huge numbers in the game, and shoot them to us. You can find us on any of these social media handles that are floating down at the bottom of the screen now. Man, we're easy to get in contact with, and we try to do a good job of putting the best ones out there. But this week, man, we had a young man that is exceptional on the floor, and he put up some huge numbers in 2 playoff games for the Rough Riders. Tim Johnson, I mean, he went absolutely crazy in a loss last night to Hampshire-Fannett. Tuesday, we'll start there, I guess. He had 19 against Jacksonville in a win. And last night, man, 31. He dropped 31. And not only that, he's not just shooting a lot of balls, but he was efficient with that 31. And he also had 7 assists, man. What did you think about T-Baby this weekend, his game last night that we got to see in person?
Well, in both of those games, he's on the court with some big-time guards. We'll talk about the games later on, but when you want to be a special player, you got to show up in those big-time games. Mm-hmm. And when you have those big matchups, he stepped up to the challenge. You talked about 19 Tuesday night and 31 last night. He led the games in scoring both of those nights with all of those guards on the court.
High-level players.
And also still distributing, still defending. He tried to will his team in both of those games and willed his team in both of those games. And I was impressed with his performances and seeing his growth throughout this year. That's hats off to you, young man.
Congratulations, T-Baby. It's time to get to work now. Let's jump right into it, man. It was a crazy, crazy week. And it started Monday and Tuesday night, man, with some upset. Going into 1A, as you can see here, you got the we had we got a graphic designer. I don't know who does it for us, but somebody's doing an amazing job. You can see the team and the logo, and we put out the scores out to the side as well, trying to update that. So we had Brookeland with the win, Laneville, two teams that we cover with both first and second round wins, and that's going to be a crazy matchup in the third round, man. How you feeling about that one?
Ooh, it's going to be tough. We saw Brookeland early on in the year, and they were ranked. And they faced off against Martin's Mill back in December, which Martin's Mill, we know how solid they've been this year, and actually above solid. But Brookeland played with them for I feel like a half, and kind of wore down throughout that game. So what they bring to the table. We've seen Laneville twice now, and kind of I guess a similar matchup. Laneville played Timpson. It was later in the year, so Timpson had kind of found their groove, and that was pretty much over with after the first quarter. With some trading buckets in the second half, Laneville played that one a lot closer. So both of these teams have played high quality opponents. They both have somewhat of a history, and it's a tough pick.
Who's going to flinch first, man?
You got
both
shot
of them
making.
been blowing everybody out in the playoffs.
You got shot making.
Yep.
But you have size. At least one player with size on both ends, and I think this is going to be a 5-point ball game or closer.
Could go either way for sure.
It can go either way. But if you put me on the spot, right now,
let's put our disclaimer out before you make that pick. What we do is not personal. Our picks are not personal. We just going off of the little basketball knowledge that we have. So it ain't personal. It's just our picks.
It's personal. whoever want to take it personal, it's personal. It ain't personal, but I know people want you to pick for them and
of course, both teams.
So
can't pick both of them. No,
I can't tell you how to feel. I can just tell you when I make my picks, it's just based on how I feel everybody's playing at that moment. And as you will see later, I do get picks wrong. So prove me wrong. But in saying that, I'm gonna go with the guard play, and this team has a guard scoring over 25 points a game, and I think they have two players scoring over 25 points a game. I'm going with Brookeland advancing and making it to the regional tournament.
Laneville, Yellow Jackets. This is a tough one, man. No doubt. We've been keeping up with both of these programs all year. Like you said, Brookeland has two young guards. One of them is a sophomore, and he can flat out score the basketball. I just think Laneville's going to get after him defensively. Something they haven't seen, especially in these first two rounds. So I'm going to take Laneville right there. Moving over to the bottom side of the bracket, Wells. We both picked Wells to make it to this third round game. We both picked Martinsville. We were wrong there. Leggett defeated them in the first round. Oglesby took out Leggett in the area round. So we have a Wells-Oglesby matchup. And I'm going with the East Texas team right here. I'm going to take Wells to advance to the regional tournament along with Laneville.
All right. Well, I'm also going Wells.
Moving to 2A. And we'll make this bracket a little bigger so you can view it and find your team, who you're looking for. And while you're looking at it, I will say, if I don't know much else, I think I know a little 2A basketball in East Texas. I got every single one of the 8 finalists, the Elite 8, correct. We have Grapeland facing Martinsville, St. Augustine facing Beckville. And then at the bottom half of the bracket, you'll have LaPoyner versus Centerville and Shelbyville versus Timpson for the third time this year. Let's talk about how we got there a little bit. And let's start with the game that we went to on Tuesday night with St. Augustine and Garrison. What was your takeaway from that game Tuesday night?
The Wolves were as advertised. That was my takeaway. Like I wanted to see how they would show up in a playoff game that had so much implication and so much adversity, as far as knowing the opponent, and it lose and go home. Like now, every game is, if you lose, that's your season. We fully expected going into it that St. Augustine would take care of business, but they hadn't been there.
Never.
Young
guys.
Those
guys. Yeah, young.
In a game like that. So,
the coach either. Coach Randall either.
But and they did what we thought they would do. We talked about how they've been getting better and better and better every week. And they showed it again Tuesday night. It was a close game. I think tied up at the end of the first quarter, but after they got those butterflies out the way and kind of woke up and realized through not only themselves and their belief in their abilities, but also their coach, him being steady and not getting all emotional and worked up because now it's a tie ball game. What are we going to do? Like they just kept being who they are.
Yeah.
When they hit that run, it was what we expected. Like I said, and they were as advertised. Shout out to Garrison and Coach Beavers on a great year. People will say, well, they got beat in the first round of the playoffs. If you make it to the playoffs in that district, as you can see, they got 3 teams
still playing
in the quarterfinals. If you make it to the playoffs in that district, then you had a heck of a year, especially playing so deep into football. Like the Bulldogs did. So shout out to them. Like they didn't come in and back down. Like they competed. They never quit. Even though the score, kind of got out of hand, they kept competing and they kept getting after it. And but the Wolves are who we thought they were.
Yeah, Garrison was just a little outmatched that night. Like you said, they came out and played well early, kept it to a close game. They weren't turning the ball over early. But then St. Augustine started putting pressure on them. And when you start turning the ball over and letting them see that ball go through the nets, and then they start hitting threes. Like if they're making shots, man, they are tough to beat. And they're so athletic. Everybody knows that. But Garrison had an athlete out there too, man. And if you go check out the Instagram page and the Twitter, you'll see some of Christopher Shepard's highlights. So it's not like that. St. Augustine were the only ones out there being athletic. Garrison had a couple guys too, but St. Augustine was just too much for them in the end. And congratulations to Garrison, like you said, on a great year. Coach Beavers making the playoffs in that district is a feat of itself. We'll go ahead and just jump right to St. Augustine and Beckville, and man, a lot of people been waiting on this one.
Come here, Beckville. Come here, St. Augustine.
Let's go. A lot of people been waiting on this game.
Yeah,
man.
And so before we get to the pick of it, how did Beckville get here? They were the number 1 seed in a very tough district. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of close games in that district race.
Yeah.
But they came out unscathed. They took care of business. And as the number 1 seed, you see the 4th seed in the opposing district in the first round. And, normally a tough district like Beckville, Timpson, Shelbyville,
blow them out.
You go blow out that team. Well, that was a close game. And I don't know about the game per se, but the final score, you only end up beating Woden, who's a traditionally tough team to play against. They hadn't been the same Woden of old in the past couple of years, but you beat Woden by 7, and you go to the next round,
Overton. And I thought that would be a blowout,
and it's a tie ball game
with under a minute to go.
Under a minute to go, it's a tie ball game, and now you're looking like, man, because personally, we want to see who we think are the best matchups.
That's it, yeah.
And we St. Augustine, we cheering for St. Augustine. Hey, win so y'all can show against Beckville.
Yeah.
Beckville. We expect them to come in and take care of business, and we look up, it's tied up. Like, all right, come on, Beckville. Like, we want the matchup.
We weren't even worried about that game.
we want the matchup.
We weren't even checking the scores on that game.
You know, and rewind a few weeks ago, you had some great inside information about Overton.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about Overton and the season that they had, and how we did get to this close area matchup.
Yeah, man, Overton. Man, they Overton surprised some people this year. Shout out to my guy, Coach Justin Arnold. He put me on about 3 weeks ago. He found out we were doing this podcast. He's actually been very supportive, so appreciate that. But he's like, man, Overton is playing well, and there's somebody that you need to look into. And lo and behold, Coach was absolutely correct. 25-5, great year. 2 of those losses, of course, came to district champ Douglas, who man, they haven't lost a district game in 3 years, but Overton gave them a game both of those times, in Douglas and in Overton. Another loss in the warm-up game to 3A Evadale, and a fourth loss to a 30-win team. I mean, Hawkins won 30 games this year. So those losses right there were to some high-quality teams. So Overton had a heck of a year this year, man. Extremely excited for that program, and I know they gave their community something to cheer about. So back to the matchup coming up Tuesday night with St. Augustine and Beckville. Man, this is a extremely tough pick right here. I guess he's gonna make me go first.
Don't be scared.
I'll pause.
Don't be scared.
I'll pause to try to give him time, man.
I know where I'm going with it.
You know where you're going with it?
I know where I'm going.
I'm going with the team that's been there. They've done it. St. Augustine is extremely well talented. I mean, obviously well coached. But I'm going with the Beckville Bearcats. They've been to the regional tournament the last 2 years, and they're going to make it a third year in a row back to the regional tournament to face off against somebody who we'll get to shortly.
So, wrong. I got the Wolves, and here's why. There's a couple of reasons. And I think, we've heard that game might be played in Waukegan. We've heard it might be played in Tender Hall. We've heard it might be played in Central Heights. Man, if somebody listens to this that's in a position to make a decision, if you're listening to this right now, and Monday is not here, Tuesday's not here because it's too late to change it on Tuesday. We want a doubleheader. We'll get to why we want the doubleheader. We'll get to that later. We want a doubleheader.
The people want it.
All right.
Everybody.
Let's go back to the game. All right, my pick is St. Augustine because, number one, we talk about you don't want to be playing your best basketball too early. You don't want to peak too early. Mm-hmm. And I've said it time and time again, every time I see St. Augustine, they are continuously getting better. And I expect, we're going to see something that we haven't seen them doing come Tuesday night. And if they're steadily getting better, and we're saying Beckville, man, I don't know. I don't know what Beckville's going to show up. I don't know what's going to show up against St. Augustine. I'm going to just tell you. If you ain't ready and you ain't been clicking, then they will. They got the potential to embarrass you. So I'm picking the Wolves, and the second reason is those guys, they don't care. They don't care who's been there. They how the saying go? Old enough to know better, but young enough to not give a care. I know it's a kid's show, but they don't care. They don't care. They go out there and they play hard. Testament to the coach, testament to the kids, testament to their leadership over there, Coach Barnes. I want to play basketball, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do to win. And I see them advancing. Even though Beckville's been there, they are experienced. They have a star player. They have size. They got guard play.
I got a rebuttal. I don't need you to give it for me.
Okay. Well, I got to give my
Yeah, and you did. You did a great job of it.
My disclaimer got to go out there.
My rebuttal to that disclaimer is I think that they will have the best player on the floor. And I don't think he wants to go home in the third round. He's willed his team to the regional tournament in back-to-back years as a sophomore and as a junior. And he's going to do it again as a senior. He has his mind made. He don't want to go out to a young team in the third round. So I'm going to go – anytime you have potentially the best player on the floor, which we'll talk about this later on as well, it's hard to pick against you. And I'm going to take Mr. Williams and his supporting cast to figure it out. And not only that, we've talked about these scores, and yes, they've been up and down, but every single time, guess what they've done? They found a way to win.
They won.
They have found a way to win.
Yeah.
And if it's a close game, I'm going with the Bearcats to find a way to win the game.
Okay. So, well, we ain't gonna go back and forth.
No,
you got Beckville. I got St. Augustine.
Let's go.
Let us please give us the doubleheader.
Come on.
Administrators, make the doubleheader happen.
Come on. We don't want to split up. Right. Let's move to the top of the left side of the bracket here. We both had Martinsville going to the third round to face Grapeland, and we were both correct there. And now we gotta figure out who's gonna make it to the regional tournament. Who wants it? Who wants it more? You got a young Martinsville team.
Young. I would. Young. Okay.
We only have one senior. Okay. That's what I mean by young. A lot of them will be back next year. But so young in that sense. But I understand where you're going with it too. They've been playing basketball.
They were all on the team.
They've been playing varsity basketball for a couple of years.
They didn't graduate a lot last year,
and they won't graduate a lot this year. They all played in the regional tournament last year, so you just made my case for me. I'm taking Martinsville. Coach Jenkins and the Mustangs to the regional tournament.
I know. I wanted to be a rebel, and we were talking before the episode, and I told him Grapeland is going to win.
That's what you said.
That's I can do that. I can say that, then be man enough to come over here and say I got the Mustangs. It's as Cinderella and fairy tale as I want brackets to shake out sometimes. Like, I'm not gonna come on here and just blatantly be wrong. That's a dark horse pick. So if we're doing dark horse picks, I got Grapeland because nobody's really talked about them this year. But I think this is gonna be the last time to talk about them. I got Martinsville.
So Martinsville versus St. Augustine.
Martinsville versus St. Augustine in the regional semifinals in Athens, 6:00 next Friday.
Martinsville, I apologize, versus Beckville, 6:00 in Athens, Texas. Ooh. Either way, those gonna be some games, man. Let's jump over to the right side, starting at the top. We both had LaPoyner chalk. You had Frankston chalk, and this was my dark horse. And I think I'm going to continue to ride that wave, and I'm going to take Centerville over LaPoyner to make it to the regional tournament.
All right, well, Centerville, they done busted my bracket. It cost me about $5. Centerville,
they owe you one.
Y'all owe me. Y'all better lose this game, Centerville, because I'm picking the Flyers out of the corner. Oh my God! You in one breath you say, okay, this team is experienced. They've been there. They've done this, and then you turn around and say Centerville. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but LaPoyner has been out of the regional tournament in this region.
Yes, sir.
The past 2 years, maybe 3.
3.
So if we're gonna go off of that, which I am when I'm making my pick, it's a totally different team.
That's what I'm going with. They graduated some cats, man.
They did.
And
I'm not picking them to win the region. So let's go on record and say that I'm not picking them to win the region. I am picking them to win this game because of their history, prestige, been there, done that.
But what about what you said earlier about getting hot at the right time?
Well, I don't think Centerville's hot. I think Frankston was my pick, but Frankston they weren't clear favorite to me. Yeah, so I
You
don't
do know that Frankston
was third in that district
off of a coin flip because they split with LaPoyner.
off of. And Frankston, how many regional tournament championships do they have?
No, but they've been there as well.
How many regional tournament championships?
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
It's levels to this. That's what they say. It's levels to this. Getting there and winning it is two different things.
Completely.
So sorry, Frankston. You know, y'all just aren't to the level of LaPoyner. Sorry, Centerville. I don't think it, just like y'all did the past week, prove me wrong. I just don't think they got what it takes to get over LaPoyner. So we'll see.
Flyers to the regional tournament for Marlin. Tigers to the regional tournament for Alex. Some stuff about the shake-up here, guys. But I tell you who has not been wrong in 2A yet. So we'll leave that where it is. Moving on to the final two teams in the Elite Eight and 2A Region 3. And you have a rematch, a district rematch between the Shelbyville Dragons and the Timpson Bears. Whew. Boy. Shelbyville got them twice this year. Beat them in Timpson the first time, which opened a lot of eyes, including ours. Then turned around and took care of them again in Shelbyville. Was that one even close?
At one point, Timpson made a run to start the second half, and Shelbyville, I think they got it within, down by about 25, got it within 9, maybe 7, but Shelbyville kind of ran off with it again.
So here we are again. The trifecta, round 3, whatever you want to call it. The Dragons and the Bears will meet in Tennehaw, SEC Tuesday night. And you want to go first on this one, man?
Well, let's talk about how Timpson got here.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the game that I went to on Thursday night. They took care of Corrigan first. Hawkins took care of Cushion. And that score was surprising to a lot of people. Cushion kept it close. Thursday night, went over to Russ to watch the Bears and the Hawks face off, and too much Terry Bussey, man. Too much Terry Bussey. Hawkins got into foul trouble. Big man, he started off strong. They opened up on a 7-0 run. Mr. Holman, Derek Holman. He was our very first Courtside crown winner. So shout out to you, Derek. I feel like a long time ago, man. But yeah, he got off to a hot start. They opened up on a 7-0 and then a 9-2 run. And then there came the Bears. And we say Terry Bussey, and it was a lot of him, but Tyler Lane, this young man continues to just do amazing things for the Timpson athletics program. And he gets recognition in that town, but he does not get near the recognition that he deserves. Football, he's a menace. I mean, he's getting 15 to 20 tackles a game. That's absurd. And then basketball, he is all over the place, man. Selling his body for the team. 10 offensive rebounds on Thursday night. And you talked about it prior to the game. You told me before I went over there, if he can get any offensive rebound putbacks, about 3 or 4. That's what I think you said 3 or 4. 10 offensive rebounds, 10, and put about 5 of them back. And he had a double-double on Thursday, and he was definitely the X factor in that game on Thursday night. And then, of course, once you have that going on, some of them he's kicking back out and getting open shots for Campbell. And then when Terry Bussey is getting to the rack, it's hard to beat. And Hawkins saw that. They had a 30-win season, so I mean that's an incredible feat of itself. Like I told Coach Davis after the game, hey, Coach, I understand it's not where you wanted the season to end, but congratulations on a heck of a season. But it was just too much Tyler Lane and Terry Bussey and the Timpson Bears on Thursday.
Yeah, and I don't know if I was on record saying this on the podcast last week, but I picked Hawkins to win this game. And I hope I said it on the podcast, but if I didn't say it on the podcast, I said it outside. What was going to be this game was Tyler Lane versus the size of Hawkins. And Like I said, if he get 3 offensive rebound putbacks, if he gets 6 to 8 points off of offensive rebound putbacks, then that would change my pick. Of course, I got to stick with my pick, so I couldn't change it based on stipulations. But I did say that I didn't think that was possible. But like you said about Mr. Lane, and I don't know him. I hadn't been able to interact with him before. But you talk about the notoriety that somebody gets from the outside people. Part of that is who's recruiting them, what colleges are talking to them, and as an undersized linebacker and as an undersized postman in basketball, like you're not passing the eye test, so you're really unassuming. But if people can get past the cover of the book with Mr. Tyler Lane, because I've had the pleasure of seeing him, 3 different times on the court. My goodness, is he a coach's dream to coach? A kid that will go out, and you mentioned sacrificing his body, but he just, whatever you want me to do, coach. And that's something that you can't coach. And it's like size. You can't coach size, you can't coach speed. And you can't coach the heart that Tyler Lane has. So I wanted to just give a little shout out to him and salute to him for the way that he approaches. It sounds like life.
Yeah, for sure.
It sounds like life. But but with that being said,
who you pick? Come on.
I the Hawkins game. I like Terry and Timpson and Nickelberry and Jackson and all of those. Like, they've been in these type of games all year.
Didn't budge. So
they weren't worried about a 30-win record. I don't know if Hawkins has been in quite that type of environment. Seeing those Bears on the other side of that line, Shelbyville seen it.
Yeah.
St. Augustine seen it. March Mill seen it. Like that.
Beckville.
They've seen it. They played in those games. So that also is a nudge when you're in the playoffs. All right.
Yeah.
Shelbyville, I was able to see them. We didn't talk about this game versus Douglas. Area matchup in Tennehaw. What a game. what a treat that was to be courtside and watch Coach Wagers and Coach Dallas go at it on the sideline, watch the Dragons and the Indians in between the lines. That was an atmosphere. That was a Beast Texas playoff area round matchup.
And jumping in the SEC.
Man, the SEC was on 10. There was guard play. There was big shots. When you thought Shelbyville would stretch out the lead, Douglas would get a turnover and finish, and then come back, get a stop, and hit a big 3. So that was fun. It's a 2-point ball game with just over a minute to go. And most people think DJ Barnes is going to step up, and you see Shelbyville wins. Oh, DJ must have closed it out. Well, no. Mr. Michi Mathis. Let's shout out Mr. Michi. He scored buckets on back-to-back possessions that pushed that to a 6-point lead with just under a minute, and pretty much put it out of reach.
You had me feeling like I was there, man. I saw those 2 buckets on Twitter.
Man.
That was some tough layups too. Tough finishes.
Tough finishes.
Contact.
And what I liked about it, he was aggressive. He wasn't. They didn't play on their heels. They weren't trying to, hold the ball and make Douglas foul them. Like, they kept attacking and being aggressive. That's what you have to do in those situations. When you start trying to constrain, that's when turnovers happen. But they stayed aggressive, and in that game, Mr. DJ Barnes, now don't get it twisted. He didn't score those 2 baskets, but he is who we thought he was, with a strong 29, 6, and 3 performance. Mind you, he went 16 for 16 from the free throw line.
That's tough.
I don't care if you're in the NBA. It's hard to go 16 for 16 from the free throw line in a game of that magnitude. And
how critical is that when you're coming down the stretch of a ball game and a tight game like we're about to talk about? And on the flip side, he's kind of struggled in the past at the free throw line, but Terry Bussey made some huge free throws down the stretch of that Hawkins game. The score doesn't indicate it, but it was a 2-possession game right there in the final few minutes, and they started fouling him, and he knocked them down. So, we're going to have.
So, let's go with my pick. I guess I got to pick first in this one.
Come on.
It's hard to beat somebody 3 times. You know this as a coach. You know this as a player. They've said this. But if anybody going to do it, it's the Shelbyville Dragons. I got the Dragons going back to the regional tournament for the first time. When did Jay Buckley graduate? 2020?
Hey, feel like too long ago, but it wasn't. Yeah, 20.
I think the first time in 3 years. They hadn't been in 3 years. I got the Dragons, the Twins, Mr. DJ Barnes. They don't go real deep on their bench. So I can probably sit here and name them. Mr. Parker. Twins.
You got the shooter.
And then you got Eli, who didn't shoot it well. I think he was 2 for 11, but he stayed confident. He stayed shooting, and I'm expecting the lid to fall off the rim for a next game. It's going to be fun, but I got the Dragons taking that one.
And Happy Meal going to be quick next week because we're opposite on a lot of these, and we're going to be opposite right here. I'm taking the Bears, man. And it goes back to what I talked about earlier with the St. Augustine Beckville game. It's hard to choose, and it's hard to pick against the best player on the floor. And I think as exceptional as DJ is, he is an exceptional basketball player. I say that. He's an exceptional athlete. He plays football very well, too. But the number 1 athlete in the country will be on the court. And he is a different man in these playoffs.
You better hush.
I say the playoff preview too.
You better hush.
Hey,
don't poke the bear, guys. Literally, don't poke the bear.
Please,
let him lay.
But no, I'm taking. And one thing that I took away from Thursday night's game, Jackson Campbell, he is shooting the ball better, and not only that, they put him on the 6'7" guy from Hawkins. He is finally playing some defense and taking some initiative on that end. He had multiple deflections, a couple blocks, a couple steals. And when you get those others engaged on both ends of the floor, man, you're going to be in trouble. So Nickelberry's playing well. Campbell's playing well. We talked about everything Tyler Lane does for him. And then you have the Terry Bussey. I'm taking the Bears to make it to the regional tournament for the 3rd year in a row. So Centerville and Timpson for me. LaPoyner versus Shelbyville for you.
All right. We're gonna close it out. We're gonna finish the regional tournament pick.
Can we? Or we're gonna have to reconvene Thursday?
No,
What you want to do?
If we'll give them a midweek episode. We'll give the fans a midweek episode.
Yeah, let's get to 3A. We still got 3A and 4A to cover,
all right,
and a 5A school as well. Speaking of 3A, let's start with Region 2. We had Tatum in chalk, and they definitely chalked their way. Surprise. I had Winnsboro beating Atlanta in the first game, but man, they and before we do this, let's give a not a moment of silence, but let's make sure the Winnsboro community knows that we are praying for you guys. They lost a student right before the playoffs, and they are using that as fuel to a run right now. And surprise, here's Winnsboro versus Tatum for a chance to go to the regional tournament. Heck of a season, Winnsboro, but I'm not even going to waste time. I'm going to go with Tatum right here.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Eagles. Coach Carr, been there, done that
many times.
Prayers for that Winnsboro community as they rally behind this tragic situation. But I'm picking the Eagles to end their season going into the regional tournament.
No doubt. Let's get to the game on the right here. Let me make the screen big. Everybody got to see this one. Number 4, Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill versus number 5, Hooks. We've been waiting on this one right here since the since Holiday Hoops Championship game.
My goodness.
And we finally get it.
My goodness. I wish I could clone myself. I wish I could clone myself. This is, it's sometimes in life you want to clone yourself.
Man.
This is one of them times.
Man.
I want to be at that game so bad. I want to be at that game. We'll decide where we're going later.
Man.
But just the fact that they played for Holiday Hoop Championship and it's going to be a rematch, Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill is thinking, okay, Hooks is going to bring it.
Yeah.
Hooks is thinking we had them beat if it wasn't for those heroics. Man, that's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be some high-level basketball. It's going to be great coaching on the sideline. These are two of the best coaches in the business.
Yes, sir.
Coach Jackson, Coach Schmidt, they do such a great job, and they're basketball guys. They are basketball people. And, man, I
have to get out of East Texas for a little bit, man.
Out of the Piney Woods.
Get out the Piney Woods. This is one you don't want to miss. And like you said, the heroics from Holiday Hooks, feeling really good, thinking they had the game won, and then Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill coming in and hitting a buzzer beater three, a runner off one leg. Imagine if they give you that again in the third round. So, man.
All right, who to pick? Who you got? Who you got?
Coach Smith, man, been there, done it. Coach Jackson. I'm going to take Hooks. They were without a starter in that championship game at Holiday Hoops, and I'm going to take the Hooks Hornets to advance to the regional tournament along with the Tatum Eagles.
Well, we did not plan this. Everybody, we didn't plan this. We ain't talked about it. I didn't send picks this week. Like we said, we'll just do it as we record. I'm going with Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill. It's crazy. We had agreed on nothing.
We agreed on Tatum.
Okay.
Coach Carl, we got you, baby.
One more. Coach Carl, you make it easy. You make it easy, Coach Carl.
Coach Bradley.
Hey, I got Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill. I think they're going to find a way again. They're poised. They're basketball savvy. How tough they play. It's going to be a physical game. It's going to be a tough game. I think Hooks does the exact same thing on the other side. But I think Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill is going to go ahead and close it out this time and advance to the regional tournament.
They've definitely showed their poise this year, especially when we've seen them against Hooks and Holiday Hoops, as well as against Beckville.
Yes, sir.
Playoff preview. Beckville went on an 18-1, 18-2 run to go up 6. And then Mount Pleasant, they never wavered, came back and ended up winning that game. So it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm taking Hooks. You're taking Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill. Let's move on to Region 3 in 3A, and we'll skip. We got Franklin and Lorena up there. We won't even discuss those two. Moving down here to the bottom 8, Hitchcock has, taking care of business in the first 2 rounds, blowing both opponents out, versus Orangefield, who did they go in second or they went in second to Kountze. They split and then Kountze won. They went in second. So Orangefield versus Hitchcock, man. I want to say Orangefield, but man, Hitchcock is a well-oiled machine. I'm gonna take Hitchcock right there.
All right, I got Hitchcock too.
All right, we ain't got debate about that one. Moving to the right side of the bracket, man, I wanted so bad to see a Mahia Westwood rematch.
I think that's what everybody was expecting.
Everybody
expected that. Westwood, they handled their business.
Yes, they did.
Won both of their games. Shout out to Coach Bryant.
Yes, sir.
Young Bryant, once again with a stellar performance in the second playoff game. Phenomenal young man.
This man right here is going to have a ridiculous career.
You talk about 2,000 points, 3,000 points.
I'm going,
move over LJ Cryer and go 4,000. But we're going to go ahead. Mahia, shout out to Mahia.
Heck of a season.
Black Cat, they had a heck of a season. It's
overtime loss as well.
Overtime loss to the area round. District champion you play again, so it's always tough. But I got got Westwood.
I'm taking them too.
I got
Ain't
Westwood.
no argument there. I'm going with the Panthers to reach the regional tournament. Moving to the bottom down here, we got Kountze versus Tarkington. One that we knew would be there. And
we felt like.
You're right. You're absolutely correct.
Strongly.
New. And one that is definitely a surprise. And I'm going to go with – I'm not even going to waste time. I'm taking Coach Jude and Kountze to match up with Westwood. And boy, what a regional tournament that's going to be.
All right. Well, Tarkington, the Cinderella story is over, unfortunately. Kountze is they on a mission, I feel like. And, that's going to be a problem for Tarkington to deal with. So I got Kountze getting to the regional tournament.
How do we don't know we're going Friday yet, huh?
No, not yet.
What a matchup between Coach Jude and Coach
Might
Brian.
Might be there.
The guard play.
Might be there.
All right, man. Hey, we got to move along. Let's get to 4A, the game that we saw last night, Hampshire-Fannett versus Center. And man, speaking of guard play, my. You have both is T-Baby number 0? Yeah, both number 0s. Tim Johnson from Center and number 0, C-Strunk from Hampshire-Fannett. And man, these two young men put on a show for the people last night. We saw Silsbee sitting over there. Silsbee, they gave us a show, baby. They gave you guys a show. And Hampshire-Fannett ended up winning the game 73-60. But Tim Johnson with 31 leading all scorers, C-Strunk with 30. Then you get Cash Cross comes in and gives Center 19 more. Man, it was a high-level, high-intensity basketball game from the opening tip.
Yeah, like I said, guard play, everybody is physical. These two matched up in the second round last year. Tarkington, Hampshire-Fannett was a little too strong for the Riders. And, C-Strong, seeing them for the first time, you see how they're ranked all year. Okay, who are they playing? What's the schedule like? Hampshire-Fannett is for real. They got guard play, and the crazy thing is they only lose 3 players. And this exact same team played last year, came back, and you see what a year of experience does. Silsbee, they got major guard play too. That's going to be a guard-heavy matchup.
Yeah, you got C-Strunk and Jeremiah Smith, and then you're matching up with Jared Harris, Traylon Miller, and the freshman guard, Mr. Peyton Jones. Man,
I got Silsbee. Yeah, once again with the history, I think they've got something to prove this year after being knocked out in the regional tournament last year by Houston, Washington. I think they got unfinished business. So I got Silsbee taking that game.
Ain't no argument here.
Shout out Cash Cross from Center Senior. Played in his last game. Definitely went out fighting. Had 19 and 8, I believe, in that game last night. Excited to see him going forward and continue his career at Lamar on the football field.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Cash. We'll be keeping up with you, man. But I'm with you. I'm taking Silsbee. Too much guard play. And as good as Hampshire-Fannett's guards are, C-Strunk is 6'4", can handle the rock and shoot the ball, 3-level scorer. But Silsbee that's a different level when you're talking about 3 extraordinary guards. And 2 of them you talked about, they've been there, they've done it, and they're trying to get back to the state tournament. So I'm taking Silsbee. Moving to the right side of the 4A Region 3 bracket, man, you got something that you rarely see, and a district rematch between the number 4 seed and the number 1 seed with Chapel Hill Bulldogs, your district champs, facing off with the Spring Hill Panthers. And it's been what'd you say a while ago? Heck of a ride, heck of a Cinderella story. I'm definitely taking the Bulldogs, man. Let's talk about how they got here. Man, we were keeping up with it last night, and Chapel Hill was down 20 in the fourth quarter.
And not to start the fourth quarter, down 20 in the fourth quarter.
That's a couple times this year.
Like we haven't seen that before, huh?
We've seen it before. We've seen this story. And not just down 20, they're down a starter down in these playoffs. Down 20 points. Man, these kids are special.
Yeah, you got every right to quit at that. I'm not gonna say every right to quit, but you got every excuse to quit in that situation. And you know they kept fighting. We lost a few years ago to Mejia when I was on the staff in center, and you know we felt like we was already going on to the next round mentally, but we were only up 13 going into the fourth quarter. And Mejia fought back into that game, ended up upsetting us and winning. But 20?
Yeah, they did that. That's too.
That is huge. 20 is
tough.
Huge.
That's tough.
But like I said, that's just a testament to that team, that program, that coaching staff. Coach Johnson did a great job, even in center. So seeing that in person, not quitting, still coaching his team, still getting after them. And things eventually turned around. That community, just what they are, it showed in that fourth quarter to put them in this position to be able to play. And also my pick to move on to the regional tournament for, I think, the second time in Coach Johnson's short tenure there in Chapel Hill as the head coach. But let's talk about the other team a little bit. Spring Hill.
Man,
we
got to see them Tuesday night.
That was part of our doubleheader, the first game of our doubleheader. And every time, it was kind of like the same story with Douglas and Shelbyville. But even more so for Hudson. Like, I felt like Hudson make a 7-0 run, and it's like, all right, it's over.
Ball game.
Now we see the number 1 seed take out the number 4 seed and, be what the standings say they are.
Yep.
But that dang gone Spring Hill team, they are scrappy.
Yes,
scrappy.
Sir.
They kept fighting. They made big shots, got big stops, and I think Hudson split a couple free throws down the stretch.
That's where the game.
Yeah. Okay. Coaching disclaimer, coaching nugget. Here it is. We watch the NCAA tournament every year. And one thing that I always talk about that games come down to, especially down the stretch, is free throws and rebounds.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to seal a defensive stop with a rebound? Because you can get a stop all day long, but it's not sealed until you get the rebound.
So you secure the possession of the ball.
And so the free throws go down the stretch.
A couple of turnovers too.
Yeah,
untimely.
Turnovers is that third leg.
Yeah.
You got the 3-legged stool.
Which is very uncharacteristic for Hudson. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So
maybe they just got a little lax. I'm not sure, but this is Hudson. You hear this saying a lot, and I think, man, that's a crazy saying. Hudson didn't lose the game. Like, Spring Hill won that game.
Took it. Yeah,
they went and made plays to win that game. Hudson didn't try to stall. They didn't play reserve. They made some mistakes down the stretch, which you make mistakes throughout a game. But that game result was based on Spring Hill and the effort and belief that they kept in themselves.
Yes, sir. And the big shot making down the stretch, man.
Yes, sir.
Those 3 guards and then number 5 with 2 huge threes. Shout out to the Panthers. And then to backdoor that, most people have a huge win like that, and they have a letdown. There it is. They're so excited. They beat Goliath, and then they come into that second game, and we're happy with what happened last week. We're still on that high, and we don't come out and play. They came out and played in round 2. And by the final score, they took care of business against Bridge City. And here we are, Cinderella story versus the district champs, and we both taking the district champs.
Yes, sir.
Moving on to 5A Region 2, we have the Lufkin Panthers, who we both had moving to the third round, Coach McManus. And now here we have the Longview Lobos. I had Longview going to the third round. I think you had them winning the first round and losing the second. So hey, man, this this quadrant right here definitely gave us a few twists and turns. Surprise, Red Oak losing in the first round. So shout out to Lufkin, man, on a heck of a year. Coach McManus and his guys. I know it ended a little earlier than they wanted it to, with Crandall beating them last night in the area round. But heck of a season for Lufkin. Longview and Crandall, round 3.
Well, I picked against the Lobos, and I had to eat my crow. I ain't doing it no more. Longview will win and go to the regional tournament. And okay, shout out to you. I'm gonna give you a shout out because you looked at Longview early on when nobody was really talking about them.
Yep.
And I think they were about 20-2.
22-2.
22-2
Unranked.
and unranked, and they got ranked that next week and got beat. I want to say, and then fell out the rankings again. But I think that loss kind of got them revamped. They beat Mount Pleasant twice, and here they are. Here they are, and I am on the Longview train. Longview.
Lobos. All right, I'm right there with you. I think Longview is going to take care of Crandall and make an appearance at the regional tournament. So let's go. Moving to
who could be in that regional tournament with them? Who could it be?
You got
this is another underdog story.
Underdog story. Finished second to Lufkin in district, and we both had them losing to Sherman in the second round. We had them taking care of Hallsville, which they did, but we had them losing to Sherman in the second round, and the Dragons said, "Hey, look out now, we ain't done yet, baby." But man, they up against the #1 team in the country. Now, I'm sorry, #1 team in the state. Country. I'm thinking, you start talking about the NCAA tournament, you got me wanting to watch some college basketball now. But #1 in the state at the 5A level, and I just think the Dragons, hats off to you, heck of a season. Jalen Brown, heck of an athlete, going to Michigan State, signee. But I just think Lancaster would be a little too much for the Dragons.
Yeah, they have represented Deep East Texas, Beast Texas well. Like to have 5A schools go this deep into the playoffs, because you are meeting those DFW area teams. Like that's a real testament to our area and the product that our coaches and schools are putting out. So shout out to Beast Texas basketball for all of these schools being in the third round. Like that's huge.
Big time.
So shout out, congratulations, arrivederci. Lancaster is a different. That's a different level even to DFW basketball. So like I don't think Nacogdoches will go in and worry about a state ranking, a national ranking, a name on the front of the jersey. They're going to compete. But my pick is the Dragons falling in the third round of the playoffs.
We're in agreement there. Last but not least, we get to 6A, and we both had Wiley taking care of Legacy. Legacy is our only school that we cover in this quadrant, and we definitely had Wiley taking care of them. But man, they gave the people the show. It's another 1-4 matchup, and they were leading.
Yes,
double digits at halftime, leading late in the game. They had every opportunity to move on to the second round and get the upset. So man, that's
actually missed a point blank putback. Point blank putback right there at the end of that game.
The jumper rimmed in and out, and then he had a point blank putback to win the game.
Yeah. So and just think that team won how many games last year?
Let me say 5.
Wow. And the turnaround that Coach Smith and that staff at Legacy's had,
amazing.
I expect now it's an expectation going into next year. So I expect great things from them,
especially with those 2 studs coming back, in Jaden Jones and Onez. So it's going to be shout out to you, Coach, what you're doing over there with that program, turning it around. And we definitely can't wait to see what Legacy puts on the floor next year. Once again, man, we appreciate everybody for tuning in, for listening. Please go like, share, subscribe to the YouTube, follow us on social medias. Because once again, this is, of course, it is what my brother calls it a passion project, but we are here to enhance the game of basketball in East Texas, to promote the game, to make sure that people outside of this area know what we are and what we're about here in East Texas, and that we hoop as well. And we can only do that if you guys are helping us spread that word on all of these social media platforms. So once again, you can find the link to the YouTube right there at Cloudy Courtside Chat. And if you watch any of the podcasts, and you'll see down there at the ticker down below with all of our social media handles. Appreciate you for joining me, brother. It's been real, man.
All right. We out.
We out later.